tonight. Fires continue to threaten Saskatchewan's north, and more residents are forced from their homes. There's a new program to train medical ultrasound technicians and boost patient services in Saskatchewan. And a fencer from our province is going for gold in Paris.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Thursday, August 29th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. I'm Ethan Williams. Thanks for joining us tonight. A trio of fires sparked by lightning in northern Saskatchewan has forced people from their homes. Hundreds of residents have had to go south as firefighters work to stop the flames. But as Dane Patterson reports, other residents are going home.
Fires continue to burn and smoke out northern Saskatchewan.
We just happen to be in an area where we have not seen that weather relief. We'll probably have the most hazard in Canada right now as far as fire load and fire weather.
Yesterday, Peter Ballantyne Cree Nation issued an evacuation order for South End. 9 communities make up the nation. This is the third one this month to be issued an evacuation order. By this morning, more than 400 of them had stopped in La Ronge at a community center for food. Many more were expected to show up throughout the day. South End is about 515 kilometers northeast of Saskatoon. It creates a triangle along the Manitoba border with Sandy Bay and Deschambault Lake, both of which have had their own evacuation orders this month. Deschambault Lake evacuees have been able to go home.
The fire at Sandy Bay has progressed, I believe, south. It may threaten road access now.
In the eastern parts of the province, Birch Narrows Dene Nation returned home a little more than a week ago after its members were ordered to leave. But now its neighbor, English River First Nation, located at Patchenak, is within range of another fire.
The closest community is Patchenak. We're aware of that, but again, the proximity of the fires directly to Patchenak is not the concern, but there are cabins and other structures in the area that we're working on.
Robert says at this time of year, wildfire fighters are typically wrapping up, but because the fire is continuing to burn in the north, firefighters have been kept on longer. Dane Patterson, CBC News, Saskatoon.
And in Alberta, wildfire danger still remains high in many parts of that province. But for the first time in weeks, officials say there are no wildfires of note.
Right now, we only have one fire that's considered out of control right now in the province, which is a pretty good situation to be in. But we still have about 75 fires on the landscape, which there, there's a lot of work to do there to get them to get them extinguished. Right now, so they're either considered being held or under control.
Widespread rain over the past few days has helped the fire situation, but not enough to extinguish dozens of fires. Last year, 2.2 million hectares burned across the province. This year, Alberta allowed contracting night vision helicopters and aircraft bombers to fight fire. So far this season, 1,850 people have worked to fight fires across the province. Saskatchewan's Conflict of Interest Commissioner has moved ahead with pursuing a case against 2 Saskatchewan Party MLAs, Jeremy Cockrell and Gary Greywall. Documents show Cockrell had held a position at a construction firm in 2022, and during that time, the company got a $170,000 payout from the Battleford Housing Authority. The Saskatchewan NDP says the company was also involved in contracts with SaskTel. The opposition says the province will have to take steps to restore trust and accountability.
If they're found guilty of using their position, their public position, for personal gain, I would expect that any leader would take that seriously and ensure that they no longer are in those positions of where they enjoy the public trust. I think that's leadership 101. It's not what we've seen from this premier on a number of occasions, but that's what I would expect.
The opposition has also accused Greywall of inflating prices while serving social services clients at hotels he has ownership stakes in. Premier Scott Moe says the MLAs are cooperating in the commissioner's inquiry, and if the commissioner's office makes recommendations, the party will adhere to them. A provincial NDP government will freeze all taxes during its first term. Opposition leader Carla Beck made that pledge to kick off the party's election campaign today. Beck says the NDP will not raise taxes if it forms the next provincial government. That includes a freeze on income, small business and corporate taxes, as well as a promise to suspend the province's 15-cent per litre gas tax for 6 months. Beck says the party has a plan to pay for the tax freeze.
We'll pay for this spending by all of these commitments, by growing the Saskatchewan economy, leaning into that opportunity that we see right across this province, by finding efficiencies and cutting the long list of Scott Moe's waste and mismanagement.
The writ has yet to officially drop in Saskatchewan, but voters will head to the polls in October. A new program to train sonogram technicians has been announced. It's called the Diagnostic Sonography Program, and it will help keep newly trained medical ultrasound technicians in Saskatchewan. Ultrasound sonography is used to monitor, diagnose, and treat many different conditions, including a baby's development during pregnancy, as well as to detect tumors, thyroid issues, and address joint and bone health. The program is a partnership between 6 hospital foundations, which will jointly fund the equipment needed for the program. This will allow students to learn in Saskatchewan rather than Alberta.
We're grateful for those partnerships and being able to purchase seats in other provinces. But I have, I'll be honest, in the back of my mind, I've often thought, what if they say no? What if they have their own challenges, for example, in Alberta, and they have their own shortages, and they say, you know what, we can't sell you X number of seats this year because we kind of need them for our own students. So I think for, our own purposes here in Saskatchewan, kind of be able to chart our own destiny, and I think it's important that we are investing in our own training programs here at home.
Students will train to become sonographers at the Suncrest Regional College in Yorkton. Once they graduate, it's hoped patients can access diagnostics in the province much quicker, especially in the north, where there's a serious shortage of sonographers. In a rare move, a federal agency has ruled the RCMP failed to properly investigate allegations of wrongdoing by a Saskatchewan municipality. It comes after a dispute between 2 RMs over water and sewer services. Alexander Kwan has more.
We don't know the details because RCMP are still investigating, but documents point to possible criminal code violations related to municipal corruption and violating statutes. Terry Kashuba is the man who brought the complaint forward. He says the review validates his concerns.
That kind of just levels your entire trust of the system. That, they're there to protect you, but they're only there to protect you at the risk of their image.
This all started during a dispute between the hamlet of Lone Rock and the rural municipality of Wilton. Both communities are located just east of Lloydminster along the Alberta border. Wilton began withdrawing water and sewer services to the hamlet in 2018, and while a judge decided they had no power to review the RM's decisions, that didn't stop members of Lone Rock from filing complaints with the RCMP. But Kashuba says that investigation went nowhere.
If you guys get the same information that I'm getting from the Crown, and this one says we just need these other elements, these other specific sections, which you have, how are you saying that this is closed?
The Civilian Review and Complaints Commission for the RCMP published their analysis, and it validates his concerns. It found the police investigation was unreasonable. It's not clear whether this means charges could be laid. Still, Kashuba says he's pleased with the review's findings.
When I looked at the report and I found the information that they had, especially the correspondence between officers, I thought, well, there was no other way they could have found anything else.
The review also highlighted a conversation between 2 RCMP members concerned the story could make the news. We don't want this investigation being picked up by CBC, citing that we don't care about the community and did not properly look into the charges. The RM of Wilton did not respond to a request for comment, while the RCMP have been directed to continue investigating. Some RCMP officers have been directed to undergo more training. Both decisions have been signed off on by Mike Duhen, the commissioner of the RCMP. Alexander Kwan, CBC News, Regina.
Well, the day started cloudy in Saskatoon. The sun did eventually poke out of the clouds. The dreary weather, though, continuing in other parts of the province, but that is all about to change pretty fast. I'll tell you about the sunny and hot weather that's on the way when we come back. Welcome back. The best water skiers in the world are making a splash in Saskatoon. The local water ski club is hosting its first ever professional water skiing competition this week. Elite athletes are competing in slalom, trick, and jump events for cash and the Canada Cup.
I've been doing this since I was, 3 years old, but I didn't really start training and competing until I was probably about 9 or 10. My parents were both some of the best water skiers, or the best water skiers in the world. So it was always expected that I would follow in their footsteps and become a water skier. But yeah, with my dad's Canadian background, and I think as most kids do, you know, I kind of wanted to do my own thing, and I ended up playing hockey for a while and fell in love with that, and ended up going to prep school in Boston for 4 years. And when it came time to choose college, that was kind of when it was, okay, do you want to come back to Florida and be a water skier, or do you want to stay up north and play some hockey? And it was a hard decision, but in the end, I chose to come back and to ski in the warmth in Florida. And you know, I can't really, I miss hockey a lot, but I can't complain because, you know, it's been an awesome ride so far.
We've got 9 nations here, so the elite of the world in slalom, trick, and jump, and some of the men's jumpers, women's jumpers, of course. Really easy to watch and enjoy. It's as simple as one person goes further than the other, but there's nothing like it. The acceleration, the visuals of the water, the athletes doing some of the aerials in the trick event it's really impressive. We're super excited. I mean, words don't allow you to describe it accurately. It's the first time ever. We've done a lot of amateur competitions in Saskatchewan and in Saskatoon, but this is a notch up for sure.
Every time I'm here, you know, it's upgraded, and you know, it's always been a good place to ski, and now every time we come back, it's just getting better and better. So I think we're all really excited to see what happens. I had a big injury last year. I had an ankle injury that took me out for pretty much the whole season. So for me, this year has been kind of a slow build back up, and you know, I had a good start on our overall tour, and finished second at the first event. You know, I'd like to win, and that's always the goal. And then in jump as well, you know, I've been, you know, my dad was one of the best jumpers, or you know, I think he was a 4 or 5-time world jump champion. So that's in my blood as well. And my mom was, you know, the best jumper of her time, and that I'm always trying to go out there to push myself and jump and try to be among the top in the world. And I was there the last couple of years, and you know, with the injury last year, I'm coming back slowly, but you know, each tournament I just want to build and keep improving.
The weather update is brought to you by Capital GMC Buick Cadillac. Employee pricing is on now.
Well, the sun has come out in Regina. 24 hours ago, it was pretty rainy and dreary in the city, and it turns out that system that brought that rain brought quite a bit of rain in some spots. As we take a look now at our rainfall totals across the province, it was in the Battlefords area where we saw the most. Cut knife around 40 millimeters there. Battlefords yourselves picking up about 25 or so. Saskatoon, you got about 7 millimeters there. Regina, we had a brief shower that brought about 3 or 4 millimeters. That system now moving into Manitoba, but the remnants from it still spinning around there, as you can see, along southeastern Saskatchewan and parts of east central Saskatchewan as well. Few thunderstorms popping up there too, but it's in northern Saskatchewan where we've been keeping our eye on storms, because we still have a severe thunderstorm watch out for places like La Loche and Buffalo Narrows and Isle La Crosse. Not good news for the forest fire situation, as we know a lot of the fires in that part of the province have been sparked by lightning, and that is very possible with those storms there. In terms of temperatures, you can see where that rain is falling right around places like Hudson Bay and Yorkton and into Melville there. Temperatures only in the teens, but where the sun is out, especially near the Alberta border, we are well into the 20s right now. That system also picking up the winds. It has been a breezy one, especially across the south. Gusts from the north for the most part at times, and even still between 50 and 60 kilometers an hour. That could push a little bit more forest fire smoke into south and central tonight, but then the winds start to kind of shifting from the west, and that'll push the smoke largely into Manitoba. But around where those fires are, especially in the south end area, we could still see quite a bit of some smoke, and that is where the air quality advisories are in place. They have come to an end, though, in other areas of the north as the wind has started shifting coming from the north. That low pressure system going to continue to move out. A few more showers and thunderstorms possible in the north overnight, but south and central will clear out nicely. Don't think we're looking for fog to develop again like we saw last night. Tomorrow, a little bit of some increasing cloudiness in central areas and pop-up showers and storms again in the north, but then high pressure moves in for Saturday and Sunday. That gives us some nice sunny conditions. In terms of the winds, though, still going to be contending with those a bit overnight and even into tomorrow, especially in the north. Those will be a bit breezy at times. Even as that high pressure moves in for Saturday, southeastern Saskatchewan will still be a little bit gusty here and there. But temperatures are improving. Nice day tomorrow in Regina. Bit of a blip there on Saturday. Game day Sunday for the Labor Day Classic looking beautiful. And then it is hot as we start September and as we head back to school. For Saskatoon, about seasonal for the next couple of days before those temperatures start picking up. Even a bit of a humid X factor for the holiday Monday and heading into Tuesday there before we see a couple of nice days as we head into Wednesday, Thursday. And looks like things will be fairly dry and those overnight lows will be nice and pleasant as well. Well, Canadian gymnast Ellie Black is adding another award to her trophy case, winning the Fair Play Award at the Paris Paralympics. A jury of her peers and fans nominated Black after she and a teammate comforted a competitor from France who fell 3 times during her routine. They offered hugs and words of encouragement. The Fair Play Award recognizes athletes who exemplify the spirit of fair play, sportsmanship, and respect for others. We'll have more about the Paralympics after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. All this week we are featuring Saskatchewan athletes taking part in the Paris Paralympics. One of them is Ryan Roussel, who's a para-fencer. He trains at Canada's largest per capita para-fencing facility, which just happens to be in Asquith, where we caught up with him before the games.
I want to compete with these people that are, I would also call friends, on a very competitive open world stage, and hopefully beat them on the open world stage so I can have bragging rights for the rest of my life. When I first tried it, I was really, really excited by it, and I said, Mom, I gotta try this, right? Like, this is something I gotta do. So I was like the first kid, I think, of like my generation per se, because when I first got there, I was the only kid there. Everybody else was like older and doing their own thing already, and so eventually more kids started showing up. We had like a nice small group of kids that were there as well along with me, and then from there on it just became a passion for me.
What really convinced him that para-fencing was not a secondary sport. When his opponent finished, undid the seatbelt on his chair, did a handstand and walked across the gym on his hands. Ryan says, these guys are hardcore.
Tackle fair from the left. Kind of like playing like chess in real life. If it makes any sense, like you have like a set strategy, you know what you like doing, and then you kind of like analyze your opponent as you're fencing them.
The analogy I use is like having a knife fight in a phone booth. Okay, you can't get away. You may not want to attack your opponent, but they're going to attack you. So you have to be ready. We joke that we're basically per capita, we are the largest fencing club in Canada. I say the world, my spouse says Canada. And he's basically putting the name of Asquith out around the world, a town of only 600 people in the middle of nowhere.
It's great. It means I don't have to go to a training facility with 1,000 or so athletes and possibly not get the attention I need to get to that level, right? Here, it's very small, very focused, which means I have all the attention I need for any problems I need or any support I might need. It's going to feel a little different this time around, I think, just because the last Paralympics was all COVID related, right? So in Tokyo, there was nobody else really there. It was very empty, quiet, not so much the uproar I was expecting. I have no idea what to expect in terms of like crowd or atmosphere anymore. Don't be so hard on yourself. Don't get in your own head. Listen to your coach, because they probably know what they're talking about. And do the best that you can do and be content with that.
Well, the Labor Day Classic means many things for the Roughriders and their fans, but as summer comes to a close, this means playoffs are just around the corner. With just 7 games left in the season and a tight West Division, every game is going to be a must-win for the Riders. They are currently riding a 6-game winless streak, but a win Sunday over the Winnipeg Blue Bombers can start a hot streak at the most crucial time of the season.
Usually, teams get into they understand their identities a little bit and what they feel that they are, and you can see that, teams, starting at Labor Day, if they get into a flow, it's usually a good time to start, getting hot as opposed to early in the year. But if you can sustain it the whole year, it's awesome.
The biggest game of the season is a bit of a later kickoff this time around. It's a 5 p.m. kickoff at Mosaic Stadium. Well, in Regina tonight, we'll continue seeing those clouds clear away. It is going to be a nice evening, a little bit breezy. Those westerly winds up to 30 kilometers an hour. Should push the smoke to our east, though. Tomorrow morning, we're waking up to pretty similar conditions. A sunny start to the day, and then the winds picking up a little bit, probably gusting upwards of 40 as we head later into the afternoon. But that's a nice noontime temperature of 23 degrees if you want to grab a bite to eat outside. And pretty similar here in Saskatoon as we see temperatures around 13 degrees at midnight. A little bit more cloud cover, though, I think, for Saskatoon. A mix of sun and cloud as we get into the morning hours. Maybe clouding over a little bit more into the afternoon, but I've called it a sun-cloud mix here for the noon hour with a temperature of around 21. I'm not expecting winds to pick up quite as much in Saskatoon as we're seeing in Regina, so should still be a pretty nice afternoon. Well, hard to believe, school is just around the corner, and some Regina kids were treated to free backpacks and school supplies last night. Hundreds of kids picked them up outside the Avon Shopping Centre. The backpacks are full of the usual supplies for elementary school students, including binders, paper, dividers, and erasers. It's all thanks to Amanda McCall. She's been collecting and giving out free backpacks for more than a decade. The first year, she collected 75 of them. This year, there's more than 1,000. McCall says she was inspired when her daughter started school and she noticed some kids didn't have backpacks.
I started this to teach my children that not everyone is as lucky as we are, and they're grown now, and I want to show people that in a world that isn't the best, there is a little bit of hope. There's a little bit of people who want to make the world a better place. So the smile on the kids' faces and having them back to school at the very best that they can be makes this all worthwhile. All the hours spent filling bags, organizing supplies, just tonight, seeing all the children and the parents, it's a happy feeling and it's amazing to see.
McCall says she loves seeing all the happy kids and parents, and she says they're especially grateful given the rising costs of everything for families. Donations came from numerous companies as well, and many private community members also donated cash and items. Great initiative. That is it for us tonight. For news anytime, you can always head to our website, cbc.ca/sask. You can subscribe to the CBC Saskatchewan YouTube channel or download the CBC News app. We're back tomorrow at 6. In the meantime, thanks so much for watching. Have a great night.